radio home of the purple and gold, and the home of Lakers talk.
Opening night for the Lake Show is about 24 hours away. And although it hasn't been a winning preseason, JJ Redick is ready to get the season started.
Our group is ready to play in the regular season. As a whole, we've built the foundation to go play a regular season game.
It's a new edition. Andy Kamenetsky.
The Lakers crypto versus the Minnesota.
The floor, Hayes dives, gets it, gives it to LeBron, who drives right by every.
Lakers Talk is presented by Hoag Orthopedic Institute. When pain keeps Hoag Orthopedic Institute.
Lakers Talk is
tomorrow night at the Crypt. The new look Minnesota Timberwolves visiting Karl Anthony Towns out. Old friend Julius Randle. Dante DiVincenzo in. We are going to have regular season Lakers basketball, and it is incredibly exciting. I'm Andy Kamenetsky. This is Lakers Talk from 7 to 9. We are going to be previewing that game at 7:30 tonight with Jon Krawczynski, who covers the Timberwolves for The Athletic. Nobody, I mean truly nobody, in all of NBA media who covers a team does a better job covering their team than Jon Krawczynski and the Timberwolves. So there's going to be awesome insight, again, for The Athletic. He'll be there at 7:30. Then at 8:15, we're going to talk with Dave Palet, who has covered the Lakers for years with different outlets. And starting next week, he is going to be doing Lakers postcasts for the Locked On Podcast Network, essentially immediate post-game reactions. Reminder for the 5 of you unaware, my brother Brian and I co-host the Locked On Lakers podcast 5 days a week, everywhere you get your podcast, Monday through Friday, never behind a paywall. And for these sickos who like to watch, there is a YouTube component. Funchy, that's got to be...
That's not a record. Not a record yet.
That's not a record?
No. You've done 1 minute into the show. We're 2.5 minutes into the show.
I've actually done 60 seconds or less.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I don't recall ever doing it that quickly, but all right. I now
keep tabs on this.
I now have for a season a new goal. I have to figure out a way to organically plug my own show while working with different employers paying me to do their show. The season is now, the preseason I should say, is now in the books. Regular season about to start. So many different storylines, including tomorrow night, the increasing anticipation that we are going to get the LeBron-Bronny moment, them sharing the court in Game 1, the opener. We'll get into that. It involves a very famous father-son athletic duo that reportedly will be in the house. Going to talk a little bit also about Quincy Olivari, who ended up getting a 2-way contract with the Lakers. Fantastic story. I mean, it's really awesome to see somebody like Olivari who just made the most out of what felt like a limited opportunity to make an impression with this team. He had signed for training camp with an Exhibit 10 contract, stood out. I mean, truly stood out in his moments, ended up getting a new 2-way deal. Colin Castleton waived, so that's fun. We'll get into that. But want to start, just take a 5,000-foot view at how the Lakers look after this preseason. 2-4, but the record can sometimes be misleading. The Lakers closed a lot of games with third stringers or guys who are going to be with the G League. Obviously, they were not playing all of these games as they would in the regular season. LeBron didn't suit up for a handful of them. But that doesn't mean that we didn't get certain real impressions about this team. 877-710-ESPN. If you want to weigh in, let me know about the things that you liked about the preseason. Let me know about the things that you are concerned about. We're going to start with the positives from the Lakers preseason. And for me, number one with a bullet, both in terms of the performance and the importance of that performance, Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis looks fantastic right now. He looks really ready. He looks really in rhythm for a very, very strong season. His preseason numbers, roughly 22 points, 9.5 rebounds, 2.5 assists, a block, and a steal in just under 26 minutes. Convert that to per 36 numbers, which is essentially what Anthony Davis plays. You're looking at 31, 13, 3.5 assists, 1.5 steals, 2 blocks. Those, ladies and gentlemen, are MVP numbers. Now, I want to make it clear, I'm not calling my shot that Anthony Davis is going to win MVP this season. A lot has to happen for AD to be in that conversation, including other members of this team holding up their end of the bargain. I'm not even saying Anthony Davis is going to average 31, 13, 3.5, 1.5 steals, 2 blocks. I'm not saying that. What I am saying, though, is the guy looks really good. Like, the only negative you could possibly point to in terms of what we saw from him in the preseason was free throw shooting. He was a shade under 53%, which would be obviously quite alarming if that continued in the regular season. Those are like Shaq-esque numbers at the line. I am not worried about it in the slightest because we're talking about somebody who on his career averages almost 80% at the line. He has never had a season in his career below 71%. I would be stunned if what we've seen in the preseason means jack bleep in terms of what Anthony Davis does at the line. And that is the only negative we've seen with AD. And it's funny. Anthony Davis talks all the time about how he doesn't care about the individual accolades, that, you know, he's not worried about MVP or Defensive Player of the Year. You know, the individual awards, he's not concerned about it. He just cares about the Lakers' success. And to be clear, I think he cares a lot about the Lakers' success. But AD is always there to remind you as well that part of the reason he doesn't care about these awards is the voters, he's never top of mind for them. He's never going to get these awards, particularly Defensive Player of the Year. He's let it be known that they just don't appreciate his defense. He doesn't know why, but they don't appreciate it. He actually was asked, I believe on Media Day, what part of his defense, because he is one of the most, if not the most, versatile defensive player in the game, what part of it he thinks gets underappreciated, overlooked the most. And his response was all of it. And that's, by the way, how you know the lady doth protest too much. AD clearly cares about being overlooked, particularly when it comes to the Defensive Player of the Year conversation, where, quite frankly, I think he's got a real gripe in terms of him inexplicably just being left out of this conversation and not being a part of it. And you know what? Good. I am glad that Anthony Davis cares. My advice to Anthony Davis, if he is listening at all, I doubt it, but maybe a friend of his is, whatever, somebody get in his ear, use that bleep, man. Use it. And I am hoping for a big time, because remember, this is Anthony Davis coming off last season. He was second-team All-NBA, first-team All-Defense. He's the only player in the league who made All-NBA and All-Defense. Nobody else did this. So he's coming off really strong regular season and a playoffs where the Lakers came up short against Denver, but AD played really well. Like, this was not a case of him not being up for the moment against Nikola Jokic. AD played really well. Goes to Team USA. He is one of the best players on that team. He is one of the guys playing the most important moments down the stretch. He is, in my opinion, pretty easily the best big man on that roster, which included Bam Adebayo and Joel Embiid. I think AD was the best of all of them. I am hoping that the way AD is experiencing that stuff and talking about being overlooked, that we are looking ahead to a double middle finger season from AD. I would love that. Because to me, Anthony Davis is the perfect guy for double middle fingers, because those double middle fingers are never going to turn into Anthony Davis playing selfishly. Like, he is not built, I think, to be that type of a selfish player. Like, he is not somebody that, even if he is looking to prove a point, AD is not going to go outside the team scheme. He's not going to be looking for his at the expense of everyone else. Like, he's not wired like that. There are occasionally moments where I wish AD would color outside the lines a little bit more, that he would be a little more willing to break the rules every now and then. In the same way I used to say that covering Pau Gasol, that at times I wish he would color outside the lines a little bit more, take that quote-unquote bad shot. It's okay. Like, Anthony Davis takes like 7 bad shots an entire season. It'll be all right. But in my opinion, Anthony Davis is the best player on this team. I think he's the most important player of this team, certainly over an 82-game season. He's the most impactful player on both ends of the court on this team by a pretty wide margin. I think Anthony Davis, when you take into account guys who played at an elite level on both ends of the floor, like Anthony Davis playing first-team all-defense on that end and averaging almost 25 points a game, I don't think there was anybody in the league who carried more of a burden on both ends of the court, did it that well on a team with actual stakes, where it actually mattered. So if I am reading this correctly, that AD is coming into this season, I know he's looking good, but the idea that he's got that bleep the world going, I love it. I hope that I am reading this correctly, because I think that could lead to really good things from Anthony Davis. Coming up, going to talk a little bit more about the things that we saw from the Lakers in the preseason that I like. This is Lakers Talk. Andy Kamenetsky, 710 ESPN.
Olivari here from Perennial Law, here to tell you about a newer sponsorship deal with Matt Barnes, who has deep LA roots, former Bruin and pro basketball player for both LA teams.
If you're looking for the best possible results after an accident, call my guy, Uncle Artie, at Perennial Law. And there's never any upfront fees. They collect when you collect. And for the record, their win-loss record puts them in the top of the standings. That's 844-DIAL-UNC. That's 844-DIAL-UNC.
Hey football fans, there is nothing sweeter than a cold glass of Stella Rosa and watching your team compete. But Stella Rosa wants to make it even sweeter and hook you up with the chance to win an experience to the biggest game of the college football season. You could win 2 tickets to the game, airfare, and a hotel for you and a friend. Head over to ESPNLADreamTicket.com to enter the Dream Ticket Sweepstakes presented by Stella Rosa, America's favorite semi-sweet, semi-sparkling wine. Please celebrate responsibly. Must be 21 or older to enter.
Hey guys, it's Sedano. At Los Angeles International Airport, changes are arriving daily to help reduce traffic, save travelers time, and transform the travel experience. The LAX Economy parking structure is now open with thousands of smart parking spaces, as well as hundreds of EV charging stations. Modernized terminals have biometric gates for faster boarding, and in the future, the People Mover train will connect travelers to LA Metro. For more information, go to their website, flylax.com/transforminglax. That's flylax.com/transforminglax.
Park, party, and play at Hollywood Park Casino. LA's premier card room now open 24/7. Tune in all this week to Travis and DeMarco to win the ultimate game day prize pack from Hollywood Park Casino. That includes tailgate party passes to HPC and game day tickets at SoFi. Listen for your cue to call 877-710-ESPN and don't miss your chance to win the ultimate game day prize pack. Tailgate passes to HPC and game tickets to SoFi. Hollywood Park Casino. Park, party, and play. Must be 21 and older to enter.
If you have ever thought about remodeling your bathroom but were worried it would take too long or cost too much, then stop worrying. Right now, Jacuzzi Bath Remodel has designed a collection of high-quality custom products and perfected the one-day remodeling experience so you can enjoy your new bathroom faster than ever before. It's a worry-free bath remodel from the most trusted brand name in the business, Jacuzzi. A jacuzzi bath system fits in your existing tub space. It's a no-mess installation with an amazing style selection, factory-certified installers, and a limited lifetime warranty. Call 800-717-4599. That's 800-717-4599 right now and get 50% off installation with no interest and no payments for 12 months. Replace that old bathtub today with a walk-in shower for a safer bathing experience. If you have lived in your home for over 15 years, it's time to remodel your bathroom. For a virtual or in-home appointment, call 800-717-4599. That's 800-717-4599. 800-717-4599.
All the latest surrounding the Lake Show, right here on Lakers Talk with Andy Kamenetsky.
Last Friday night, Bronny James gave NBA fans exactly what they've been waiting for.
Olivari's got it. Here he is into the front court. Alley-oop to Bronny, slam dunk. And by far, Bronny's best game as a pro.
Bronny James is starting to show a lot of promise.
Tonight, I was given an opportunity to go showcase my offensive game, and I did that a little bit. So I feel like my confidence, I feel like that's the biggest thing for me right now is, uplifting myself.
Lakers Talk is presented by Hoag Orthopedic Institute. When pain keeps you from doing what you love, Hoag Orthopedic Institute gets you back to you. Visit HoagOrthopedicInstitute.com to get the help you need today.
Now back to Lakers Talk with Andy Kamenetsky.
About 15 minutes away from talking with Jon Krawczynski from The Athletic, previewing Lakers Timberwolves kicking off the NBA season and the Lakers season. Jon knows the Wolves inside and out. Like, this is going to be a really good look at how the team has appeared in the post-Cat era. Julius Randle, old friend, now part of this team along with Dante DiVincenzo. So we're going to talk with him in about 15 minutes. And Dave Palet in about an hour. 15 minutes into this show, I'm already in corrections and retractions. Dave Palet, not Palet. Palet, I was too concerned with promoting Locked on Lakers that I mispronounced not only one of my guests, Funchy, Dave Palet, but my co-worker, like my teammate over at
Worried about
Locked on
yourself.
Network.
Look at you.
I know, but
selfish.
You know what? No regrets. No regrets.
Taking 50 shots. Look at you.
50. This was me putting up my 50.
James Harden right here.
It may never happen again.
James Harden Kamenetsky.
Absolutely. 877-710-ESPN. We heard from Bronny, and in all the excitement as exciting as losing by 58 points in a preseason game can be, there have been a lot of excitement about Quincy Olivari, who was the best player on the floor for the Lakers by a pretty wide margin, and that ultimately led to Olivari getting that two-way deal, which is, it's honestly a great story. That kid, he seems, first of all, just like a really rock-solid character. Like, you started hearing stuff about him the more he was getting attention for the way he was playing in the preseason. I tweeted out at Cam Brothers, or retweeted, this story I saw about how when he was at Xavier, there was some type of contest where you could win something autographed by Quincy Olivari. And this little girl won, and she was a big Olivari fan, and her mother put the wrong address for this prize. And Olivari found out about it, found out where this kid lived, and drove about 20 minutes on his own time so he could hand deliver this autographed item to this little girl, like made her day, her week, her month, her year. And after the final preseason game where he played really well against the Warriors, he talked about how Steph Curry went up to him after the game saying that he appreciated what Olivari does on the court. And Olivari is young enough, I believe he's 23. He's young enough to where, as a kid, he could idolize Steph, and he did. He's his all-time favorite player. And he used to sleep underneath a Curry jersey when he was a little kid. And he was getting really emotional, like on the verge of tears talking about this. And it's awesome to see someone like him just take advantage of this moment. And there are other ramifications for, I think, or at least potentially for Olivari being added. They waived Colin Castleton, added Olivari. We'll get into that more in the second hour. I think there's a little bit more to read into it as well, but it's great to see Olivari succeed. Bronny also played very well in this game. Like, this was the best maybe Bronny has looked since getting signed by the Lakers. And we're already hearing that the Griffeys, Ken Sr., Ken Jr., they are going to be on hand to take in the opening night at the Crypt, Lakers versus Wolves. Bronny talked about this a bit.
Bronny, how Ken Griffey Jr. and Ken Griffey Sr. are going to be there tomorrow. How cool is that moment going to be?
Yeah.
And then Ken Griffey Jr. himself weighed in as well.
Have you chatted at all with LeBron about playing with Bronny? Has he asked your advice? Have you given some advice from your own experiences?
No, we haven't talked yet. I'm actually gonna go to the game. I'm gonna take my dad, first father and son to play baseball now. First father and son to play basketball. So it's a big deal for my dad and I to be there. We made history. Now we get to watch history. So that's what's gonna be cool about it.
All right. It feels at this point like the cat is out of the bag. Like, I'm not saying that the Lakers gave a heads up to the Griffeys saying, let's turn this into a TV moment. Like, I'm not saying they didn't. I'm just saying I don't know that they did. But the Lakers are an organization that we know loves theater. They love stories. They live for this sort of mythology, and they're an organization that is rightly associated with mythology. They are arguably the greatest franchise in North American sports, and they love this sort of stuff. This feels like you are setting up for LeBron and Bronny having this moment, and honestly, if it's going to happen, you might as well get it out of the way ASAP. That is what is best for, I think, LeBron. I think it's best for Bronny. I think it's best for the Lakers, because the longer this goes, the more it gets talked about, the more you have to try to shoehorn the thing in. And it is better, I mean, really, I'd say for Bronny above everyone else, to just have this moment, hopefully something that is as special for him as it definitely will be to LeBron, I think to the Lakers, to Savannah James, all of the family. It's going to feel really awesome for them. And then Bronny gets to go down to the G League, where he is going to spend the majority of his time and where he ultimately needs to be if he's going to develop. That being said, though, Lakers better win if this happens tomorrow night. Because I'm not saying that if they lose, it will be because of that moment. Like, I am willing to bet that if it happens tomorrow, it will happen early enough in the game that whether it goes well, goes poorly, whatever, 3 or 4 minutes, the Lakers will have plenty of time, plenty of game to change things around. But I know that if the Lakers end up losing, accurately or not, people will point to this moment. They're going to point to the LeBron-Bronny moment and say, this is indicative of the Lakers not being serious, that they're not treating things seriously. Like Boogie Cousins was on the Run It Back show with Michelle Beadle and Chandler Parsons, talking about how he felt like Bronny just being on this roster is indicative of the Lakers not being serious. And I don't agree that him being there means the Lakers aren't serious, but there's no question that the Lakers did actually put Bronny on this roster in a way that was limiting for them. Like, they were short roster spots with all the guys, Cam Reddish, Jackson Hayes, Christian Wood, D'Angelo Russell, LeBron himself, who all opted into their contracts. They did not have extra roster space and certain amount of flexibility to add free agents, make a deal, things like that. And that is, in part, the byproduct of Bronny having that guaranteed contract. It's not solely on Bronny, but it's a byproduct of it. I mean, in any other year, they are likely trading that 55th pick or using it on a stash guy that they keep in Europe for a couple years, and they leave that 15th spot open. So, this was not a convenient year for the Lakers in terms of the LeBron-Bronny thing happening. And again, if the Lakers lose, when this moment happens, I guarantee people are going to point to it, whether they should or shouldn't. Let's take a quick call. Prince in L.A., you're on Lakers Talk. What's up, man? Prince, you there?
Yes, sir, I am.
Cool. Let's hear from you.
All right. Yeah, like I believe that they should give a little bit more run to Dalton Knecht. I believe that D'Angelo Russell would be better suited coming off the bench and spearheading our bench attack and letting like Dalton Knecht run with Austin Reeves just for a little bit, just to see how that angle would go. Because to me, D'Angelo Russell, he's more of a slower pace of what they would naturally need to run with who they got starting next to him.
All right, I appreciate the call there, Prince. I'm going to talk a little bit more at length in the second hour about Knecht in particular. I would not start him right now. This team already has enough defensive issues or potential defensive issues in the starting lineup. I think if you add Knecht to it, you exacerbate it even further. But he is going to play. For the time being, he is a part of that 9-man rotation. And I'm going to get into this in the second hour, but I find Dalton Knecht a really intriguing wrinkle for the team this coming season. Speaking of things coming up this season, the actual season, which begins tomorrow, Lakers, Wolves at the Crypt. Going to talk with Jon Krawczynski from The Athletic, who covers the Wolves. He is among the best in this industry in terms of guys with a particular beat. He knows the Wolves inside and out. Going to talk with him, get an idea of what may lay ahead for tomorrow. Again, 877-710-ESPN if you want to weigh in. Lakers Talk, Andy Kamenetsky, 710 ESPN.
Hey, it's Sedano. LA is the home of champions, so celebrate like a champion with Tequila Mandala. Award-winning artisanal small batch premium sipping tequila. Our friends at Tequila Mandala turning tequila fans into Tequila Mandala fanatics. Made from the finest mature agaves to bring you the perfect sipping tequila, from their Blanco to their flawless year extra añejo. Up your game with Tequila Mandala and experience the best award-winning premium tequila. Available everywhere fine tequilas are sold. Visit tequilamandala.com for more details.
The Harin Foundation is inviting you to join us and ESPN Radio at our charity golf tournament, Monday, October 28th at the San Gabriel Country Club, to raise funds for scholarships. To date, we've given $138,000 in assistance, and we want to give more. Go to harinfoundation.org and click the banner at the top. Join the likes of Nomar, Sean Green, Mickey Hatcher, and others. Tune in to ESPN 710 for all the fun on the 28th. harinfoundation.org and click the banner at the top. See you there.
All right, everybody, Sedano and Cap here, and George, let's talk to everybody about Prize Picks, where you and me are freaking geniuses, and that's why we're killing it.
We are crushing it, Cappy. And by the way, you can too. You can win as much as up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks.
But let me tell you something right now. When you download the Prize Picks app and you use our code Cappy, K-A-P-P-Y, you make your first play at $5, they hit you with an instant $50 bonus. It doesn't matter if you win the play or you lose the play. A $5 play turns into a $50 bonus.
Oh, my God. It's amazing. They're giving you free money, for God's sake. And by the way, it's the best way to get action in sports in over 30 states, including, obviously, this one here in California.
So, George, I want everybody to download the Prize Picks app and use our code Cappy, K-A-P-P-Y, and let's win.
Yeah, absolutely. And Prize Picks puts its members first. So all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. Man, when your picks hit, you can get your money in as quick as 15 minutes. And you know where you can do it? Only on Prize Picks.
Sedano and Cap.
Tomorrow at 3 p.m. after Mason and Ireland.
Someday you'll be calling up George and be like, hey, remember me?
Right.
It's Cappy.
Yeah.
The Raiders finally won.
You remember back in 2024 when we made that bet?
Wait, what did you turn into, Count Dracula?
No, I turned into an old Jewish guy sitting at home. You know what I mean?
It was the day before I dressed up as Elton John.
You remember that day that I was supposed to dress up like Elton John? You hear Dracula? Really?
Yes, it's very Dracula.
It was 1,000%
No,
Dracula.
it's actually not even Dracula. It's actually worse.
No,
it's Count Chocula.
No, it's Dracula. No, not Dracula.
It's the Count from like Sesame Street.
No!
1, 2, 3 Super Bowls for the Raiders.
That's really what it is.
The LA Afternoon Takeover. That's Sedano and Cap.
On 710 ESPN.
This is Lakers Talk with Andy Kamenetsky on 710 ESPN.
The regular season begins tomorrow night for the Lakers, and Anthony Davis will be depended on to help lead this team back to the playoffs and beyond.
Anthony Davis anchors, or in certain ways grounds, the Lakers' offense. Like in a lot of ways, everything that they want to do as an offense is going to be made better through Anthony Davis.
It's the home of the Lake Show and the home of Lakers Talk.
Lakers Talk is presented by Hoag Orthopedic Institute. When pain keeps you from doing what you love, Hoag Orthopedic Institute gets you back to you. Visit HoagOrthopedicInstitute.com to get the help you need today.
Back to Andy Kamenetsky.
Lakers Talk, Andy Kamenetsky, 710 ESPN. The Lakers season kicks off tomorrow. The NBA is upon us. At the Crypt, Lakers, Wolves, and my first guest tonight is going to give us a preview of their opponents, the new look Minnesota Timberwolves. Jon Krawczynski from The Athletic knows the Wolves inside and out, does an incredible job, like really as anybody in the industry as far as covering a team. Been a big fan of his work from afar for a long time. Glad to finally have him on a show. Jon, how are you, man?
I'm doing great, Andy. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, thank you for being here. To begin, like before we even get into tomorrow, how surprised were you to see the Wolves make this trade for somebody like Karl Anthony Towns? You could argue second greatest T-Wolf after Garnett, bringing in Randall and DiVincenzo.
Yeah, no, I was really surprised. The biggest part of it was that I think that I kind of got lulled into sort of a false sense of security, honestly, because there had been talk about the Knicks coveting Karl Anthony Towns for a very, very long time, more than a year. There had been several times throughout the last year where there were rumors that, hey, the Knicks are going to make an offer. They're really going to get into this now. And every time that it would happen, I would check with my Timberwolves sources, and they would just kind of poo-poo it and just say, like, look, they're not serious. We haven't heard any kind of offers from them, and we're not interested in moving Karl Anthony Towns anyway. So when it happened at the end of September, and actually they pulled the trigger, it was a shock. I mean, certainly, the Wolves are coming off of a Western Conference Finals run, just their second in franchise history. They had a lot of things that were coming together with that group, and it seemed like they were ready to run it back again and see if they could go one step further. And so to see them actually pull the trigger on this trade, even though there's a lot of logic behind it for financial and basketball reasons, it still was a real shock to the system to see that they actually went ahead with it.
If you had to pick one or the other between the financial or the basketball, what do you think motivated it more in terms of making this happen?
Yeah, I mean, certainly at first glance, it's, you look at it and say this is financial, and it's not, that they were cutting costs, essentially. It wasn't that they, didn't want to pay the luxury tax. They were going to do that. That was something that ownership was committed to. They were ready to do that. But what the problem with this new collective bargaining agreement and this new economic reality that is in the NBA is that if you want to try to build something sustainable for more than a year or two, being in that second apron spending stratosphere, which is where the Wolves are now and were before the trade, for any length of time just makes it almost impossible to surround, your best players with quality talent to sustain any sort of contending team. And they looked at Anthony Edwards as a 23-year-old who is not yet in his prime, and they wanted to try to claw back some flexibility to sign free agents, to make trades, to not have their draft pick drop to the bottom of the first round, all of these different kind of mechanisms that they were in danger of triggering, and set themselves up for long-term viability with Edwards at the center of everything. So I do think it's more so that long-term financial situation, but if you talk to people within the organization, you get pretty strong pushback. They really believe that they are as good or even better with this iteration of the team, deeper, tougher, just kind of more conventional roster than they had with Karl Anthony Towns. So we'll see about that part of it, but there's no question that financially this is better for them in the long term.
Talking with Jon Krawczynski from The Athletic, covers the Timberwolves. Lakers talk, Andy Kamenetsky, 710 ESPN. Julius Randle is a really good player, and in a lot of ways, he's the polar opposite of Cat. And he's had one preseason game, I believe, under his belt with the Wolves, coming back from that shoulder surgery. How did he look, both individually and in terms of with the team?
Yeah, I mean, he looked okay. It looked also like he had not played since January. So I do think that it's reasonable to expect early on in this regular season that he is going to have some adjustments and some rust to knock off, in addition to getting to know an entirely new team and a different system. He played for Chris Finch in New Orleans, which really helps the familiarity of things. But I do think that he's got some work to do to sharpen things after being out since the end of January with that shoulder injury. Everything that I've been told is that he is fully healthy and ready to go that way. So it's just about kind of finding that rhythm again and building new chemistry with his teammates. And I think that's going to go well eventually. I think that he's going to fit in better here than people maybe first think about when they look at Julius Randle and look at his fit with Rudy Gobert and with Ant and with everything that they have going here. I think it's going to work out well over the long haul of this season. But I do think that it's reasonable to expect that in these first couple of weeks, as he gets going, there's going to be moments where he looks really, really good, and then there's going to be moments where he struggles.
What do you think is the bigger challenge? We're talking with Jon Krawczynski from The Athletic, covers the Timberwolves. Meshing Randle with Ant on the fly or meshing him with Rudy Gobert? Because I can see an argument for either, even though I can honestly see how both could work.
Yeah, it's funny, Andy, because, I certainly have been trying to envision how this all works and have had my reservations or certainly concerns about how he fits with Ant, how he fits with Rudy Gobert. But then you kind of look at what he did in New York, and in New York he played with a ball-dominant, ISO-heavy, all-NBA caliber guard in Jalen Brunson. That's, Ant is a different kind of player, but they both like to have the ball in their hands and they'd like to kind of dominate things a little bit. He played in New York with a very limited offensive center, a huge guy that takes up a lot of space around the rim and in the paint, and Mitchell Robinson. And Mitchell Robinson may be the closest thing to Rudy Gobert from an offensive standpoint as a center in this league, and Randle's numbers with Mitchell Robinson were really, really good. And so I think that, to me, the thing that will take more time to iron out is I think that Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle working together and not sort of tripping over each other.
Right.
Understanding how to space for each other, how to give each other room, how to get each other involved, how to keep the ball moving and make sure it doesn't get stagnant. I think that's the bigger thing. I think that Rudy Gobert is going to figure things out. He's a really good player, despite what many people around the league who kind of look at it casually will tell you. He really helps them both offensively and defensively. But I think just that both of Julius Randle and Anthony Edwards are so used to operating as kind of the focal points of the offense. I think there's going to need some time to kind of understand where each other has their spots and how to kind of stay out of each other's way, and not just stay out of each other's way, but then make each other better. I think that's going to be more of a process.
Yeah, the one thing, and we're talking with Jon Krawczynski from The Athletic, covers the Timberwolves, that I do think could be potentially helpful for Ant. It's been overlooked, I think, because understandably there's been a lot of talk about spacing and what you lose with Cat, is I actually think Randle may be able to help Ant get better shots, just like create for Ant in ways that it's not something Karl Anthony does, or I think not at the level Julius does. Like, Julius can be a really good playmaker. He can work in space, operate that way. So I think maybe that's something that could be helpful. The Dante DiVincenzo effect, like, he's the smaller name to get moved, RIP Nova Knicks, but he's a good player coming off a really good season. Where do you suspect he fits in?
Yeah, so I think that, we have questions about Julius and how all that will work. We don't have any questions about Dante DiVincenzo and where he fits. He has been a seamless integration into what the Timberwolves do. He gives them exactly what they need and what they've been missing. Even when Cat was here, Cat's a great three-point shooter, but he's not a high-volume three-point shooter. Dante DiVincenzo is a high-volume guy. He will get the ball and get it up quickly. And I think that element or that dimension has been missing from this offense for a long time. The other thing that has been maybe a pleasant surprise that a lot of us did not expect, and I think even has taken the Timberwolves coaches a little bit off guard, is that DiVincenzo in the preseason has shown an ability to be an initiator, to be a playmaker. Is he a true point guard? No, he's not. But I think that they have been impressed by how he has been able to make some things happen off the dribble, drive and kick, find guys cutting to the basket, doing things more than just catch and shoot threes or moving without the ball, which he did so well in Golden State. So you add to that he's a dogged defender. He's not Anthony Edwards or Jaden McDaniels in terms of just a lockdown guy in the perimeter, but he really is in the right places at the right times and is a competitor that way. And they love Dante DiVincenzo already and think that he's just going to be an enormous part of what they do. Even if he's not starting, he's going to play high minutes. He's going to be in high leverage situations. And I think you're going to see him make a real impact real early in this thing.
Talking with Jon Krawczynski, covers the Timberwolves for The Athletic. This is Lakers Talk, Andy Kamenetsky, 710 ESPN. Obviously, it is extreme small sample size in terms of the full team intact. But how has it looked to you in terms of the stuff that they're obviously figuring out on the fly?
Yeah, I mean, they have, for the most part, moved the ball really well. They've shared it. They've gotten out in transition a little bit more than they had with Cat and Rudy when they were kind of much more half-court oriented team. And I think that one thing that has been maybe looked over when you evaluate the trade is that for as individually talented offensively as Edwards and Towns are, and they're two of, I would say, the top 20 offensive players in the game, they did not really mesh perfectly, as a unit. They were the 17th ranked offense last year in terms of points for 100 possessions. And so the pieces didn't seem to quite click in place the way they wanted to. And it looks like, again, very, very small sample size, but it looks like these pieces fit together a little better and a little more easily. And so one thing that Chris Finch is cautioned about is that, take the preseason with a grain of salt, because once the real games start and the stats count for real, sometimes habits change. Sometimes players aren't quite as unselfish and kind of look for their own thing a little bit more. So I'm really anxious to kind of see what it looks like on opening night tomorrow night in LA against a good team, how that fits. But early on, it has been promising in terms of Anthony Edwards looks like he's ready for another leap. Jaden McDaniels looks much better. Naz Reid, a lot of these guys look like they have used last season's run deep into the playoffs and then the disappointment with how quickly it ended in the Western Conference Finals as kind of the necessary motivation to come back hungrier and ready to play. And so far they've looked pretty good.
Well, also too, I imagine that given how far they went in the playoffs last year, that even if they did not like the timing of the trade or whatever, they're going to feel even more determined to make this thing work because they're not going to want to go backwards either.
Yeah, there's real urgency. It's an interesting mix of players because you have Mike Conley and Rudy Gobert who are both in their 30s. Mike Conley is in his upper 30s, and there's a real sense of urgency there to kind of get to the finals and do what they can. Neither one has been there yet. Then you have kind of the young, hungry guys in Edwards and McDaniels and Reed, and who got a taste of playoff success and kind of the attention and the pressure and all of those things that come with it, but then really found out in the Western Conference Finals just how far they actually were away from being a championship level team, because they thought they beat Denver in the second round and kind of thought they had climbed the mountain, and they were only halfway through. And so you have a really kind of interesting mix of these of people at different phases of their career, all motivated to do it. And so I don't see them, if it doesn't work out this year, if they don't go as far as they did last year, it won't be a lack of focus, a lack of motivation, a lack of kind of priorities in the right spots. These guys are locked in that way. Now we got to just see if the actual basketball part of it in a really ridiculously difficult Western Conference kind of clicks into place the way that they hope it does.
Talking with Jon Krawczynski from The Athletic, covers the Timberwolves. Last question for you. What was your impression of D'Angelo Russell when you covered him with the Timberwolves? Because, I am a resident of D'Lo Island, and let me tell you something, John. There's a lot of unoccupied real estate. I got miles and miles of beachfront property to myself. I think he can be a fun player, and I also just find him really, really interesting, like as a person. But he is, to put it mildly, polarizing. And it also felt like when the Wolves traded for him, they did it with like a lot of sincere optimism.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they when they made the move for him, they thought it was going to be Cat and D'Lo leading the charge for this team for a very long time, that they were going to be the Garnett and Marbury that didn't work out. That's what was planned. They were treated as franchise players. They were valued that way. My experience with D'Lo, I thoroughly enjoyed having conversations with him. Yep. He's really interesting dude. He thinks the game. He really is kind of a worldly guy, and he's in tune with his feelings, and he's introspective, and I just had so much fun kind of getting to know him a little bit and having some deep conversations with him. He was here during the George Floyd stuff and a lot of that. And so that stuff was always just fascinating to me. As a player, when he is rolling and when he's hitting those pull-up threes in transition and when he's slinging the ball all over the court to open shooters, he's truly breathtaking. Yeah. Like he will absolutely look like one of the 20 best players in the league when he is going. And I have seen him tilt games and take over games and hit huge shots and have the crowd in the palm of his hands with the way that he kind of orchestrates. And it's amazing. And then there are times where he is not in it mentally, where the shots are not falling, where he gets locked up by whoever's guarding him and defending him and takes him out of a game, and he makes poor decisions, and it does not work out. And when he kind of retreats into that shell, it's also difficult. He makes it hard sometimes. And so you ride a wave with him, and when the wave is up and when he's going, it's phenomenal. It's great theater. It's super fun. And then when he's down and he's struggling, he can be down there for a while, and it can be hard for him to pull himself out of the tailspin.
He's Jon Krawczynski. He covers the Timberwolves for The Athletic. Incredible coverage. One of the best covering a beat in the biz, man. I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me, Andy. I'll talk to you soon.
Definitely. Again, Jon Krawczynski from The Athletic. Coming up 877-710-ESPN. If you want to weigh in on any of that, looking ahead to Lakers-Wolves tomorrow, talk a little bit more about the preseason. Andy Kamenetsky, 710 ESPN.
Hey kids, Uncle Artie here from Pernia Law, here to tell you about our newest partnership deal with Matt Barnes, who has deep LA roots, former Bruin and pro basketball player for both LA teams.
If you're looking for the best possible results after an accident, call my guy, Uncle Artie, at Pernia Law. That's 844-DIAL-UNC. That's 844-DIAL-UNC.
That's right. Call us or slip into the DM, Uncle.Artie.
Uncle Artie's not just my friend, but he's your uncle in the business. Artie Pernia is a seasoned personal injury attorney who works with you, so you receive the best possible compensation for your case. Let Uncle Artie and the Pernia Law family provide peace of mind, so you can focus on recovery and getting back to you.
If you've been injured in an accident or you're unhappy with your current injury attorney, come to Pernia Law. We take care of you like family. That's why they call me Uncle Artie.
Call my guy, Uncle Artie, at Pernia Law. That's 844-DIAL-UNC. That's 844-DIAL-UNC.
Just like the Lakers have a game plan on the court, you should have a Go Safely game plan off the court. If you plan to drink, plan for a designated sober driver. If you're the designated sober driver, move over a lane when you see amber flashing lights on Caltrans, law enforcement, or other emergency vehicles or tow trucks. If you can't move over safely, slow down and be work zone alert. Go Safely, California. From the California Office of Traffic Safety and Caltrans.
Hey, football fans, there is nothing sweeter than a cold glass of Stella Rosa and watching your team compete. But Stella Rosa wants to make it even sweeter and hook you up with a chance to win an experience to the biggest game of the college football season. You could win 2 tickets to the game, airfare, and a hotel for you and a friend. Head over to ESPNLADreamTicket.com to enter the Dream Ticket Sweepstakes presented by Stella Rosa, America's favorite semi-sweet, semi-sparkling wine. Stella, Brate responsibly. Must be 21 or older to enter.
Hey, it's Mace. There's a lot on the line in this election, from protecting the Social Security you've earned to supporting family caregivers. And you have the power to make the candidates listen, because voters 50 and over decide elections. That's why AARP California has created an election guide with the most up-to-date information about when, where, and how to vote. Get trusted election information at aarp.org/CA votes. That's aarp.org/CA votes. Paid for by AARP.
Travis Rogers and DeMarco Farr.
Tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. after Greeny.
If there is such a thing as heaven and hell. Hell, in my version of the afterlife, is customized to whatever you hate the most.
Oh, so
that's the beat.
EDM.
Trav,
24/7.
we got bad news for you. You weren't a great guy. You're going down.
Oh man,
and as
that's
the
a hell.
elevator lowers me into hell.
Wow,
this is banging in the elevator.
You're not very brat, as the one would say.
Oh my! And the doors open, and it's this, and it's a laser show.
Oh, nonstop,
and it's hot
every day,
and it smells, and it's just this is the beat of hell.
Yes, I agree with you. Yes,
yeah. And if we went up, if I did a good job, and it opens up, it's like ballpark organ music.
Nice.
Yeah.
Weekday mornings at 9 a.m.
It's Travis and DeMarco
on 710 ESPN.
Lakers talk continues on 710 ESPN.
I am so excited right now. This is really, really awesome.
Lakers Talk is presented by Hoag Orthopedic Institute. When pain keeps you from doing what you love, Hoag Orthopedic Institute gets you back to you. Visit HoagOrthopedicInstitute.com to get the help you need today.
More Lakers Talk with Andy Kamenetsky right now.
Little tribute to the time. Oh, yeah. Every week. Minnesota's finest. Morris Day and the gang. Thanks again to Jon Krawczynski from The Athletic, covers the Minnesota Timberwolves, who are the Lakers' opponent tomorrow as the regular season kicks off. From here on out, we've got real Lakers basketball, kids. Very excited about this. I want to talk a little bit more about the stuff that I liked from the preseason. From the Lakers, 877-710-ESPN. Again, if you want to weigh in, going to talk with Dave Palet at 8:15, has covered the Lakers in various capacities for years and is going to be doing the Lakers postcasts for the Locked On Podcast Network. I've talked before on this show about how I've loved the general tone of this preseason. Like, what has happened on the court has not been perfect. We're going to get into some of the imperfections more in the second hour. There are certain areas that would look weaker than you'd prefer, that you'd like to see shored up. But they have been more dialed in and purposeful as a team during the preseason, during training camp, during this period that, quote unquote, doesn't count, than they've been in a long time. Like, to my mind, probably since LeBron and AD's first season together, and their first preseason together, the first one with Frank Vogel, the first one with Rob Pelinka as the guy running the show, and all of the chaos that happened in the offseason leading up to it with Luke Walton getting fired, Magic Johnson abruptly resigning, all of that different stuff happening. And it felt like there was a lot of people with a lot to prove. And it has not felt in the preseason dialed in anywhere close to that level since. If anything, it's often felt like the preseason was treated like something that did not matter in the slightest. And I'm really happy to see them treating it like this period that ultimately is about laying a foundation for the things that you want to do this season. Like, this is where you get the time to practice. This is the time where you get the extensive period spent just understanding better what it is that you're going to be doing and laying down certain things that you want to see. If you're J.J. Redick and this coaching staff, here are some of the things that I'm putting out there that I want more of an emphasis on. And as an example, one of those things is rebounding. We've heard a lot about the emphasis on offensive rebounds, corner crashing, guys looking to create more second chance possessions, better work on the glass period. And proof positive that this has been sinking in has been Rui Hachimura. J.J. Redick has talked since the summer about wanting more from Rui on the glass. And this preseason has been really promising in terms of him taking that seriously. He has averaged 7 rebounds per game in the preseason in just under, 24 minutes. That would equal out to easily career highs for Rui on the glass if he maintained it. And this is something that I know I have wanted more from Rui. I know Funchie's talked about it, wanting more from Rui. Laker fans like Rui at his size, with his athleticism, his quickness, the physicality he sometimes plays with. Like, there's no reason that he is somebody that should have been averaging like 4 rebounds a game. And every rebound that Rui grabs is less of an onus and burden on LeBron or AD to have to do that. And it also, I think, hopefully speaks to Rui just paying more attention to the details in general, the more granular stuff, things that aren't just about him scoring. You know, do I think this automatically means that it's going to translate to Rui becoming a more attentive defender, a better defender? Maybe occasionally. Probably not in a permanent way. I'm more than willing to be happily surprised. But if this signals Rui just becoming incrementally better when it comes to the details, 10% better, 20% better, that's 10 to 20% better for Rui, 10 to 20% better for the team. So to me, the rebounding is hopefully just one element that is indicative of this team getting their marching orders from J.J. Redick, the things that he wants to see. And it has not been perfect, and we're going to get into some of the things that have been a little more disconcerting coming up in the second hour. But there's been a lot that we've seen in the preseason that I've really liked. Coming up in the second hour, going to talk with Dave Palet, who's covered the Lakers for several years. That's in about 15 minutes. Get into more of what we've seen in the preseason. Also, my X factor for the season. This is Lakers Talk. Andy Kamenetsky, 710 ESPN.
The biggest show on the radio.
Mason and Ireland, weekdays at noon.
Yeah, the Raiders haven't won since 1900s. Now, here's the thing. Did you see the nugget? There's video of Gardner Minshew. I think this is after he was pulled from the game. You know what I'm talking about, Brian?
I know what you're talking about, yeah.
So there's video of him digging up his nose and eating a booger.
Oh, he got caught.
He went in deep. He went in deep, too. He was like
and
2
another
knuckles
50
in.
that he eats it.
Yeah.
Look, if you're going to pick your nose, fine. Like, people pick their nose. Just don't eat it.
No,
Like,
exactly.
just don't eat it.
There's a line.
Right, and the line
Don't-
is putting it into
putting
your
it
mouth.
in your
That
mouth.
sums up the Raiders year.
Has anybody here ever eaten a booger?
No.
Oh, yeah, when I was a kid.
I
probably.
never ate a
No.
booger. A booger's gross.
Yeah, that's gross.
Who would eat a booger? And yet some people do.
Gardner Minshew.
Apparently Ireland and Gardner Minshew.
Yeah, why not?
Steve Mason and John Ireland, tomorrow at noon.
Mason and Ireland on 710 ESPN.
Next Gen is the official plumbing, heating, and AC company of SoCal sports fans. That's right. Next Gen is the absolute best in the biz with thousands of 5-star reviews online to prove it. Looking for an all-star deal on home comfort? Call Next Gen. For just $14.99 a month, you'll score year-round coverage on all of your plumbing, heating, and AC needs. You heard it right. For just $14.99 a month, you'll experience coverage and comfort all season long. No unexpected timeouts, just total peace of mind. As a Next Gen member, you'll enjoy complimentary multi-point inspections, cooling tune-ups, plumbing and safety inspections, and exclusive members-only savings. Plus, you'll have a VIP guaranteed 2-hour priority service appointment. Sign up today to become a Next Gen VIP. Don't miss out. Call 833-3-NEXT-GEN. Next Gen is the only name you need to remember for comfort and reliability all season long. That's 833-3-NEXT-GEN or visit nextgenaaronplumbing.com.
NEXGEN, call 833-3-NEXT-GEN.
Park, party, and play at Hollywood Park Casino, LA's premier card room. Now open 24/7. Play no-bust blackjack, poker, and more. Enjoy Century Bar and Grill's flavorful menu for lunch or late-night dinners. Watch your favorite teams and catch up with friends on game days. Unwind and enjoy live music and crafted cocktails at Ray's Lounge. Easy parking and access, Hollywood Park Casino, located next door to the Forum and SoFi Stadium. Park, party, and play. Hollywood Park Casino. Elevate your game.
Must be 21 and older to enter. These are approved DOJ games. Geico 004527. Geico 003871.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
710 ESPN, your home for the 17-time world champion Lakers.
KSPN Los Angeles, a good karma brands radio station. 710 ESPN, the radio home of the purple and gold, and the home of Lakers talk.
Opening night for the Lake Show is about 24 hours away. And although it hasn't been a winning preseason, JJ Redick is ready to get the season started.
Our group is ready to play in the regular season. As a whole, we've built the foundation to go play a regular season game.
It's a new edition of Lakers Talk with Andy Kamenetsky.
The Lakers open up the season tomorrow night at Crypto versus the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Rebound loose on the floor. Hayes dives, gets it, gives it to LeBron, who drives right by everybody and dunks it left-handed.
Lakers Talk is presented by Hoag Orthopedic Institute. When pain keeps you from doing what you love, Hoag Orthopedic Institute gets you back to you. Visit HoagOrthopedicInstitute.com to get the help you need today.
Lakers Talk is on. Here's Andy Kamenetsky.
Lakers Talk, second hour beginning. We are less now than 24 hours from the Lakers kicking off their regular season at the Crypt against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Should be a really interesting game, very entertaining. New look Wolves. Karl Anthony Towns is out. Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo in. They're a team that went to the Western Conference Finals last year, so that is a potentially good test right out of the gate for the Lakers. And if you're going to be going, by the way, to the Crypt, cheer on the Lakers or watching the game at a friend's house, commit to the Go Safely game plan. If you plan to drink, plan ahead. Leave the keys behind. Get a sober designated driver. Still need a sober ride home. You have options. Use public transit or a ride-hailing service. Stick to the game plan. Whatever you do, don't let yourself or your friends land a technical foul by driving impaired. Remember, alcohol controls your actions and reactions, especially behind the wheel. Don't let friends, family, loved ones drive drunk. Go Safely, California, from the California Office of Traffic Safety and Caltrans. Want to run a stat by you, a number, just the number 8. Whenever you bring up the number 8 with the Lakers, obviously we think of Kobe Bryant, but that's not what this stat is about. I'm talking 8 as in the number of years since the Lakers have won a season opener. It has been 8 years since the Lakers won a season opener. October 27th, 2016. To put this in perspective, Funchy, Barack Obama was still president the last time the Lakers won a season opener. We have gone through 2 presidencies and about to have an election. That's how much time has passed since we've gone through essentially 2 full terms since 2 presidents.
We haven't even got the COVID yet.
Yeah. Oh, I haven't gotten through COVID yet. Like, we hadn't even – nobody knew what COVID meant. We were years from knowing what COVID meant. Here's your lineup from the last time the Lakers won a season opener. Luol Deng, Timofey Mozgov. Remember, this was the summer of folks getting the bag all across the league, and that included Luol Deng and Timofey Mozgov. Julius Randle, who we just talked about, now a member of the Timberwolves. Nick Young, and Nick Young's rival, foe, nemesis, D'Angelo Russell at the point. The more things change, the more they stay the same. D'Angelo Russell running the point for the Lakers, a 120-114 win over the James Harden Rockets.
Also, a couple things that happened in 2016, I'm just looking up. Hamilton became a phenomenon, the Broadway show, and also Harambe became a sensation.
Wow.
It's been a while. It's been a while, guy.
Yeah, Jordan Clarkson in this game led the Lakers off the bench with 25. This was the era of the sweater gang.
Oh, yeah, remember?
D'Lo and B.I. and Clarkson and Randall, that picture of them.
That was a fun team, yeah.
The sweaters, like that's how long it has been since the Lakers have won a season opener. It would be nice to break this trend, which would mean shoring up some of the issues that we saw during the preseason. The biggest one that jumped out to me is the three-point shooting. And J.J. Redick has made a very big point of emphasis that he wants to see more threes from the Lakers this year. You know, people took him seriously when he made the offhanded joke about wanting to see 50, like on average from the Lakers, and he made it very clear, like, I'm joking. Like 50 would be excessive. But he would like it to be in the high 30s per game, so it's clear I approve of this message. Like, I spent a lot of last year bitching about how the Lakers, quietly a top 10 team in the league when it came to three-point accuracy. After the All-Star break, top 5, they were bottom 5 for attempts, which made absolutely no sense whatsoever. Like, the math doesn't math there. And it's part of the reason why the Lakers, despite having, after the All-Star break, one of the most efficient offenses in the league, they still struggled often to just put teams away. Some of that was the defense, but a lot of it was, I think, their shot diet, not being able to keep up with the rest of the league, putting more of an emphasis on threes. So I'm happy with the idea of an uptick. That being said, though, the threes are not falling in this preseason. They've shot about 30% as a team, rounding up. I understand it's just the preseason. They played a lot of these games without LeBron, or a lot of these quarters without LeBron, who will generate the best looks, catch and shoot, setting up guys, one dribble, pull up, whatever. Like, he will generate the best looks for guys from three. And, the ball has been in D'Lo's hands a little less, and he's the next best playmaker on this team. Side note, in terms of things I have not loved in the preseason, I am not sold on this idea of the ball being in Austin Reeves' hands more, D'Lo's less, in terms of the way the offense may be run. I am concerned that it plays to neither of their best strengths and could affect the team adversely, but it's early. We'll see where it goes. But in terms of the guys from behind the arc, LeBron is shot at 57%, albeit at low volume. That's not a sustainable mark. Gabe Vincent, decent volume, 37.5%. Everyone else, Dalton Knecht at 36%, but that is in a lot of ways very uploaded by one explosion, the 35-point night. Then you've got Rui at 36%, which is down from last year. Max Christie, 30%, D'Lo 25%, Austin Reeves 23%. And to me, at times, I think this has been a function of them not being great threes, like a shot selection issue with their threes. And it's times it's felt to me like they have been rushing to find a three-pointer to take. Like they've been just looking for the first three possible as opposed to looking for the best shot, much less the best three-pointer. I think at times it's led to Anthony Davis not being involved enough. You may recall in the game against the Bucks, the preseason game, J.J. Redick mentioned how the third quarter went stagnant offensively, and he ran a bunch of post-ups in a row for AD. Like, he called these plays from the sideline because he wanted to get AD more involved. And I think the more involved AD is, the better of looks you're going to get from three. And look, this is the Lakers in a lot of ways breaking some of the habits that they had over the last few years with not taking many threes. So the process of unlearning that likely involves some overcorrection on their parts. And, they're not a team that's really used to finding the best threes because they're not used to actually looking for enough threes, period. So there's a certain element of that you just have to expect, but it is something to be mindful of with this team looking to be more about the three-point line. And the more that they are missing threes, the more they put themselves in danger of getting caught defensively in transition. And that is where they were lousy last year. And based on what we've seen in the preseason, they remain pretty lousy now. And some of this is a byproduct of, I think, LeBron pacing himself a bit defensively, and particularly in the preseason. I think you're going to see that a lot magnified in transition. Some of this is them just relearning each other, all that stuff. But this is not a team that has been good in transition defensively over the last couple of years. And the more threes that they end up missing, unless they become very good at that corner crashing that they've talked about or just tracking down long offensive rebounds, the more potentially in danger they are of getting caught in vulnerable positions defensively in transition. So those two things can go hand in hand, and that's something that they do have to be mindful of. Other things that we need to look for from this team, we're going to talk about that with Dave Palet. He's covered the Lakers, different outlets over many years, going to get his impressions of what he's seen during the preseason. That's coming up next. Lakers Talk, Andy Kamenetsky, 710 ESPN.
When pain keeps you from doing what you love, Hoag Orthopedic Institute gets you back to you. We are ranked number 18 in the nation and number 1 in Orange County for orthopedic and spine care by U.S. News & World Report. From the surf to the green, our world-class doctors are there, which is why more Californians choose Hoag Orthopedic Institute for orthopedic and spine care more than any other hospital. At Hoag Orthopedic Institute, there is no one better at getting you back to you. Proudly founded by premier physicians in partnership with Hoag. Learn more at HoagOrthopedicInstitute.com.
Hey, it's Travis with Prize Picks. Did you know that you can win up to 100 times your money with Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks? That's right. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. And Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. So why not join 10 million users and sign up today? Prize Picks puts its members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. So when my picks hit, I can get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. This week on Prize Picks, I'm looking at football. Patrick Mahomes, more than 267.5 passing yards, and Saquon Barkley for more than 67.5 rushing yards. Download the Prize Picks app today and use the code 710 to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's right. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks. Run your game.
Hey kids, Uncle Artie here from Pernia Law, here to tell you about a newer sponsorship deal with Matt Barnes, who has deep LA roots, former Bruin and pro basketball player for both LA teams.
If you're looking for the best possible results after an accident, call my guy, Uncle Artie, at Pernia Law. And there's never any upfront fees. They collect when you collect. And for the record, their win-loss record puts them in the top of the standings. That's 844-DIAL-UNC. That's 844-DIAL-UNC.
If you have ever thought about remodeling your bathroom but were worried it would take too long or cost too much, then stop worrying. Right now, Jacuzzi Bath Remodel has designed a collection of high-quality custom products and perfected the one-day remodeling experience so you can enjoy your new bathroom faster than ever before. It's a worry-free bath remodel from the most trusted brand name in the business, Jacuzzi. A jacuzzi bath system fits in your existing tub space. It's a no-mess installation with an amazing style selection, factory-certified installers, and a limited lifetime warranty. Call 800-717-4599. That's 800-717-4599 right now and get 50% off installation with no interest and no payments for 12 months. Replace that old bathtub today with a walk-in shower for a safer bathing experience. If you have lived in your home for over 15 years, it's time to remodel your bathroom. For a virtual or in-home appointment, call 800-717-4599. That's 800-717-4599. 800-717-4599.
Sedano and Cap.
Tomorrow at 3 p.m. after Mason and Ireland.
Are you a thug, Cappy?
What do you think?
I mean, I don't see you that way, but, maybe. You never know.
You don't think I'm a thug?
Nah, I don't think you are. I mean, Trick Daddy loves the kids, but he's singing about his days being a thug. Like, I don't feel like that's you. I mean, you love the kids. I mean, you were a Little League coach at one point.
You don't know nothing about no Trick Daddy.
Hey, listen, Trick Daddy, let me tell you something about Trick Daddy. You may not realize this, but as far as magicians go, he was one of the best.
Oh, my God.
He will cut a lady in half.
Come on.
He'll pull a rabbit out of a hat. He got card tricks. Trick Daddy. That's thug life right there.
I feel like if Cappy if that name wasn't taken, Cappy would have loved that name as a rapper.
Oh, hell yeah.
Trick Daddy.
The LA Afternoon Takeover. That's Sedano and Cap.
On 710 ESPN.
This is Lakers Talk with Andy Kamenetsky on 710 ESPN.
The regular season begins tomorrow night for the Lakers, and Anthony Davis will be depended on to help lead this team back to the playoffs and beyond.
Anthony Davis anchors, or in certain ways grounds, the Lakers' offense. Like, in a lot of ways, everything that they want to do as an offense is going to be made better through Anthony Davis.
It's the home of the Lake Show and the home of Lakers Talk.
Lakers Talk is presented by Hoag Orthopedic Institute. When pain keeps you from doing what you love, Hoag Orthopedic Institute gets you back to you. Visit HoagOrthopedicInstitute.com to get the help you need today.
Back to Andy Kamenetsky.
Lakers Talk, Andy Kamenetsky, 710 ESPN. We are less than 24 hours from the Lakers kicking off their regular season tomorrow night at the Crypt. Obviously, that game and all games will be heard right here on 710 ESPN. Beto Duran with the pre-halftime and post coverage for you. And my next guest is a longtime talk show host in Southern California, covered the Lakers for 10 seasons during the Kobe Shaq era. He is back for 24-25. He's going to be doing the postcasts, like immediate post-game reactions for the Locked On Podcast Network, which, if you are not sick of hearing me say by now, I am also part of that network. Dave Palet, how are you, man?
I'm doing great. Just like you, I'm extremely excited about tomorrow night.
So what have been your general impressions of Lakers so far this preseason?
You know what? It's hard to tell. Just like, you were saying, I was following the show tonight and, trying to watch Monday Night Football and listening to you at the same time. And I want more answers. Like, it feels weird that the season starts tomorrow and we still have no idea. But I think this is maybe one of the strengths of J.J. Redick and having a new coach, where you don't let the other team know what basically your attack is. I mean, we want to see what LeBron looks like. I couldn't agree with the comments more about Anthony Davis, how he looks fantastic and ready to go. I think the Olympics have helped him out. But at the same time, I think LeBron has always been sharp, and I expect him to be great, of course, in his 21st season. But I would have liked to see LeBron on the floor just a little bit more. And at the same time, you touched on so many things tonight that I didn't find myself shaking my head and go, he doesn't know what he's talking about. I couldn't agree more when you talk about the three-point shooting, because that's what I want to see. It's funny, as a fan, especially a fan of the Lakers, I can't tell you how many times I said, and I did not like him in college, but I wanted J.J. Redick on the Lakers. I wanted a shooter. and I was like, God, if they could do anything to get, a Korver or a Redick, they have that kind of shooter from three-point range. It feels like we're the only team in the league that doesn't have a consistent three-point threat. And now we do get J.J. Redick, but we get him as the coach. I'm curious to see what it looks like and how long does it take for us to see the Lakers that hopefully we see in the playoffs.
Okay, I've got some other questions for you, but as long as you've touched on J.J., let me get to one that I wanted to ask right now. What do you consider his biggest obstacle as far as he's not just a first-time head coach, he's a first-time coach, unless you count those 9-year-olds that he was guiding through basketball.
I think I'll say his strength is the fact that he played. Like, the players can't pull one over on him. Like, it's not like, hey, you played a long time ago. No, you played just a short time ago, and he wasn't afraid to give his opinion about today's players because he was with today's players. I think that's going to be a strength for him, where the players that show up every single day, whether it's practice, they walk in the game in the locker room, no, I can't pull one over on my coach. Like, he's in touch with what I'm doing. He knows when I'm not giving 100%. He knows when my mind is not on the game. I think it's honestly a strength right now. The X's and O's, I think he did a pretty good job as far as the assistant coaches, the Lakers able to hire around him, former head coaches that understand stuff that might help him out that maybe he thought he knew that he doesn't know. But I think for the players, he's going to hold them accountable. And I honestly feel between Pelinka and him, if you can't be held accountable by J.J. Redick and do it his way, I think you're going to see some roster changes quicker than you think.
Okay, actually, you are a pro, Dave Palet, longtime talk show host in Southern California and the future host of the Lakers Postcast on the Locked On Network, because you just unknowingly led me to my next question. There is a big expectation among Laker fans, I think not without some promising or maybe over-promising, under-delivering from the front office, that this offseason would feature more moves. And other than swapping in Dalton Knecht for Taurean Prince, it is, for all intents and purposes, the same team. With that in mind, where are the areas that you think this roster needs most shoring up?
I know everybody's concerned about, do we have, enough size? Anthony Davis, is he the kind of guy that likes to basically get his hands dirty? He's not. He doesn't like contact, but we all know that he's not the type of player that you can sit there and stick outside and knock down threes consistently. He's one of those guys that's a vet that doesn't want to get hurt. And as Laker fans, how many times that we see Anthony Davis go down that we go, is he going to get back up? I mean, we're always concerned about Anthony Davis getting up. And the fact that he was able to play, I think, 76 games last year, that was more than I think most people expected. But we have to keep him healthy. If they have any chance of winning a championship, it has to be, Anthony Davis being healthy, LeBron James being healthy. And LeBron's one of those guys, even though he's going to be 40 in December, you really don't worry about him. He's gonna play. He's gonna show up. But I'm curious to see, hey, has Jackson Hayes grown? It sounds ridiculous to drop Jackson Hayes the night before the season, but if anyone who goes to a Laker game, you go there early. Jackson Hayes is one of those guys that is a worker. Like, he's always working on his game. The coaches are always working on him for toughness and size underneath. But at the same time, they do need more. There has to be an answer out there to help them out. There are guys on this team that I think a lot of fans have given up on. They're going to see the opening roster, and they're going to go, wait, we still have that guy? What did he ever do for us? Why is he still there? By the way, you tell me if I'm wrong, but the player I think, honestly, with J.J. Redick holding guys accountable that is front line and center, it's D'Angelo Russell. Because he's the one that seems to disappear. I'm curious to know, can D'Angelo Russell show up every single night giving 100% effort?
Well, he has, if nothing else, been very complimentary of the things that are being asked of him and the way Redick is communicating to him. And, D'Lo is he's a very bright guy. I think sometimes he's actually a little too smart for his own good in terms of basketball. But he's talked about his excitement in terms of Redick wanting to make things, more complicated and creative offensively. He also, very unprompted during media day, talked about how he needed to be better defensively, better with the little things. He actually apologized to Laker fans. And I will say, it's preseason. There's a lot that still lays ahead for us. But I saw him looking to make more box outs, things like that during the preseason. There was a game where he had 7 rebounds. There are times where you see D'Lo really dialed in and even defensively looking like a good enough player. And that player can be extremely helpful for the Lakers as they're looking to try to make a playoff run. That version of him, if nothing else, is going to be really valuable for this team in the regular season as they try to set themselves up best as possible for the playoffs. Their seed matters, but D'Lo is a guy that is, and I think always will be, polarizing among Laker fans. Talking with Dave Palet, longtime Southern California talk show host. Covered the Lakers for about 10 years during the Kobe Shaq era. He's going to be hosting the Lakers postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network, immediate postgame reactions. How equipped do you think the Lakers are right now? Like, Rob Pelinka has mentioned about a 25-30 game period that he wants to get a look at this team before making any real decisions, and that also coincides basically when players start becoming more available December 15th or in January to get traded anyway. How well equipped do you think they are to at least be in a good position before Rob Pelinka eventually makes whatever decisions he does?
Yeah, I'm curious to know if he stands true to that. I mean, does he stand true to that? I think Laker fans would love that, because I think most Laker fans sit there and watch and say, I know the guys on this team, and I know which teams don't have a chance. This is the guy you want to go out and chase. And we all play GM no matter what your favorite team is. But I don't think the Lakers can wait. You just said seeding does matter. I mean, it does. With the Lakers, it definitely matters. The West is tough like it always is. I mean, a year ago at this time, we're talking about the Nuggets. I think this year a lot of people are concerned about OKC and how young they are, and can they basically take advantage of our age with our veteran players. There are a lot of teams out there that we're really worried about. I hope Rob Pelinka is that way. I know you've been a fan, your brother's been a fan for a long time. For me, my favorite coach that the Lakers ever had was Pat Riley, because I thought Pat Riley, when you watched the game, you could feel when momentum switched, and then he knew exactly when to call timeouts. Whereas Phil Jackson, as great as Phil was, Phil never wanted to be the head coach of an all-star team. Like, he wanted those days off during the all-star break. And you just watch Phil and watch the game get away, and he just sit there with his arms crossed in that high chair, and you just go, oh, my God, as a fan, you're like, call timeout,
He was the original Darvin, hands in the pockets.
He was. And then you notice after the All-Star game, Phil Jackson was the Phil Jackson coach that the Lakers needed.
Yeah.
But the first half of the season, Phil's like, you know what, playoff time, that's when we're going to turn it on. This franchise isn't those teams. They need to figure out what is the right combination, the right roster as soon as possible. I hope Rob Pelinka does exactly what you said, 30 games.
Well, I mean, you can do that stuff. We're talking with Dave Palet, longtime Southern California talk show host. He's going to be hosting the Lakers postcasts coming up very soon on the Locked On Podcast Network. You can do that stuff when you've got Kobe and Shaq as your nucleus, or prime Kobe and Pau Gasol with Lamar Odom and Andrew Bynum, and like that level of a roster. LeBron and AD are still, I think, as good of a 1-2 punch as any team in the league. And this is a good roster. Whether or not it can be great remains to be seen. But, I mean, it's good. They won 47 games last year despite missing some important defensive role players, and I think some questionable decisions from Darvin Ham in terms of lineup management. But there is an urgency that needs to be maintained during the regular season that we don't often see with this franchise, because it's always about, the playoffs. Regular season doesn't matter. One thing I do like with Redick is he does seem to be really drilling down on the idea of everything matters. And if nothing else, with Redick looking to prove himself, he's not going to be casual about anything. And it seems like he is not going to be afraid to call out guys if they are too casual. So that could be helpful.
Let me ask you, do you think he would, and I know we all know that him and LeBron have a relationship, right? They even had a business relationship. When you watch the Lakers over the last few years, even going all the way back to the bubble year, it always seemed like it was LeBron and AD and the supporting cast everywhere. Like even on the bench, walking off the court, walking onto the court. It was those two guys, and then it was everybody else. Do you think Redick works on, hey, I need you guys to bring everybody to your level? Like, you're going to, as a leader, you're going to bring guys up to you, and it's not just you two guys and everyone else is supporting cast that is basically expendable.
That's an interesting question, Dave. And to be perfectly honest, it's been such a small sample size of the Redick era that I think it's hard to know for sure. But if you're looking for positive signs for what it sounds like you're looking for, I would say how engaged LeBron, AD, and all of the rotation players have been during those periods when the third string guys, the Quincy Olivaris and I guess Bronny Jameses of the world, have been playing in these games, and how, first of all, how hard those guys have played. Because I mean, last year the garbage time minutes didn't feel like garbage time just because they were inconsequential. They felt like garbage time because it often felt like these guys who were barely established in the league were kind of startlingly casual. This year's group has been playing very, very hard, and it seems like LeBron and AD on down, they very much appreciate it. So I guess if you're looking for maybe a signal of what you're talking about, that could be it. Talking with Dave Palet, longtime Southern California talk show host, going to be soon the host of the Lakers Postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. Something Brian and I have talked about, my brother Brian and I, Locked On Lakers, during recent shows. Who do you think is more surprised that LeBron is still a part of this organization now in his 7th season, pushing 40? LeBron or the Lakers? Because I seriously doubt anybody anticipated this would still be a thing in 2018 when he signed.
That's a great question. You know, it's funny. I don't know about you, but obviously, you know, you're a Kobe guy. All of us were Kobe people. And when LeBron was with the Cavs or the Heat, you know, we watched him and admired him, but we weren't LeBron fans because we're trying to beat LeBron. We thought at some point the Lakers would face LeBron in the NBA Finals, and we didn't want LeBron winning another championship.
We were promised, remember the puppets, the Nike puppets? We were promised this, Dave. We never got it.
Yeah, it was. It's one of the biggest or saddest things in the history of sports that we never got the matchup. But we might have admired him, but we weren't rooting for him. And now, and there's some people, it's funny that you run into Kobe fans that still say they aren't LeBron guys. I'm a huge LeBron guy. I can't tell you how much I admire him. As somebody that just played pickup basketball, I think my legs went at 32. The fact he's doing what he does at 40, and if you haven't seen LeBron in person and you realize, oh my God, I think he's still the fastest guy on the court, and what a great athlete he is. He's absolutely incredible. But I used to count down as a fan that hated him or rooted against him, going, all right, he's going to retire soon. Right? He's going to retire soon. And then when he became a Laker, it might have been one of the happiest days of my life. Like, I remember just celebrating with my family, calling anyone I knew that was a Laker fan, like, we're screaming in the phone, couldn't be happier that he's here. And I am happy that he's here. I know there was a trade-off there with, you know, drafting a son, and I don't even care about that stuff. I'm very happy LeBron James is a Laker.
Last question for you, Dave, and for listeners who may not be aware of this, I actually just learned it. You first got started in radio working for Mason and Ireland way back in the day. So I want to ask you, A, what was the gig? B, what were your memories of working with Mason and Ireland? And C, who was the bigger pain in the ass to work with, and why is the answer Mace?
It is Mason. It's funny. John Ireland, nice as can be, so is Steve Mason. But
they're both
my first
guys.
day, I was working in radio at Extra 690, and I was doing an internship. And the show was from 7 to 12 at night. And
glory hours.
And it was, and I remember the very first day I was there, I broke the coffee machine. And I added water to it where it already took water, and I broke it. And Mason walked in, and he goes, "Do you understand the entire radio station is based on this coffee machine?" And I showed up the next day, and he's like, "I can't believe you came back." And I go, "I loved it." And he said, "Let me tell you right now, best advice I could give you is turn around and never come back. This is addictive." He goes, "This is really addictive." So Mason was always great, but John and I, we'd go out a few times after the show, late at night, and we'd go, "Hey, I think this place is open." He goes, "I've never been here before." And we'd walk in, and it would be just like Norm at Cheers. They'd go, "John," everybody would turn around. So they were both really good guys, really smart guys, and I'm so glad to see that they're still working together. But you're talking to their number one fan. I love both those guys.
Yeah, I mean, they're the OGs of Southern California Sports Talk Radio for a reason. He's
Absolutely.
Dave Palet. You can follow him on Twitter at Dave, Palet. Also, turns out he's good friends with Greg Bergman, my boss. So make sure.
I am. He was my producer.
Make sure to put
Greg
in
was my producer a long time ago. Yeah.
Put in a good word for me. I could always use it.
You got it. Hey, can I ask you a question real quick?
Sure.
Dalton Knecht. I think this guy's first team all rookie league. I'm a big SEC fan. My son played football at Alabama, but I follow SEC sports. Dalton Knecht is the steal of the draft, and I think this guy is going to be a fan favorite before you know it if he isn't already.
Okay, I'm not going to respond to you now, but I am going to be responding after we are done in the next segment because Dalton Knecht is on my list of talking points. Again, Dave Palet is going to be soon doing the Lakers postcasts on the Locked On Podcast Network. I guess we are now co-workers over there on the network.
Yeah.
Working together with Lakers coverage. Great to meet you, and thanks for coming on.
Absolutely. Have a great opening day. I'll be there tomorrow rooting on the Lakers. I'm really excited to be there.
Sounds good, man. Thanks. So he knows Mace, knows Ireland, knows Bergman. So he actually goes back further with Mace and Ireland than I do. And there are very few people at this station who actually have worked with John and Steve longer than me. So there you have it.
I thought I worked with them for a long time.
I love that he broke the coffee machine on day one at night.
And Mace just ripped him. Just like any other intern now.
Well, I mean, A. Martinez got his name.
Yes,
A
exactly.
because they never called him.
If you get ripped by Mason Ireland, you're going to go to greater things.
No, I mean, honestly, if you're getting ripped by Mason in Ireland, like dirty little secret, that means they think you're doing a great job.
Or you could be running a radio station, too, like our boss.
Exactly. All right, coming up, I did tease a little bit of Dalton Knecht talk. That's going to be coming up next. Lakers Talk, 710 ESPN.
Just like the Lakers have a game plan on the court, you should have a Go Safely game plan off the court. If you plan to drink, plan for a designated sober driver. If you're the designated sober driver, move over a lane when you see amber flashing lights on Caltrans, law enforcement, or other emergency vehicles or tow trucks. If you can't move over safely, slow down and be work zone alert. Go Safely, California, from the California Office of Traffic Safety and Caltrans.
Hey, it's Mace. NFL fans, big news. We've got a major shakeup here in town with the Los Angeles Rams. That's right, Rams bringing in some huge talent, and it didn't require any trades or clearing any salary cap space. The Rams have brought on the one and only Jacob and Bronny as their chosen legal partner. So remember, Rams fans, when you're injured, call the chosen legal partner of your favorite team called Jacob.
Accident or injury, call Jacob and Bronny. Call Jacob.
Listen, that's the sound of our future. Our children's laughter, their dreams, their potential. But the world we're building for them isn't just about what we see today. It's about the air they'll breathe, the food they'll eat, the opportunities they'll have. It's about their health. In some neighborhoods, children play in parks and breathe clean air. In others, playgrounds are scarce and pollution hangs heavy. Some kids have access to fresh, nutritious food at every meal. Others live in food deserts where healthy options are out of reach. And when it comes to healthcare, some families see a doctor regularly, while others wait months for basic care. Your vote can change this. When you vote, you're not just making a choice for today, you're shaping our children's tomorrow. The voting period has already started and ends November 5th. For more information on how to vote for a healthier future for all our children, visit myvotemyhealth.org.
Travis Rogers and DeMarco Farr.
Tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. after Green.
Did you ever get a pick?
Oh, yeah.
How many?
Two?
Two?
Three? No, three.
Three. Who'd you get?
I got Bobby Hebert.
Okay.
Warren Moon.
You got Warren Moon.
I got Warren Moon.
You got a Hall of Famer.
And handed him the football.
Dude, you had to get him to sign it, right?
No, I handed it to him as
you wanted it back. You picked up a Hall of Famer.
There you go, Warren. Because we were talking trash before the game, and I got the New York. I got Boomer Esiason.
Okay, Bobby Hebert played a long time, so no shade to Bobby Hebert, but you got a Hall of Famer and another guy that's kind of NFL famous.
Oh yeah, the Seattle one actually had a return.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I'm returning that for like 12, 13 yards, and it's one of those like.
Emily, see if that's on YouTube somewhere. I got.
You look around like, are they coming after me? They're coming after me.
Well, you got the ball. Of course they're coming after you.
I'm not used to this, bro. Yeah, this is crazy.
Weekday mornings at 9 a.m.
It's Travis and DeMarco
on 710 ESPN.
Lakers Talk continues on 710 ESPN.
I am so excited right now. This is really, really awesome.
Lakers Talk is presented by Hoag Orthopedic Institute. When pain keeps you from doing what you love, Hoag Orthopedic Institute gets you back to you. Visit HoagOrthopedicInstitute.com to get the help you need today.
More Lakers Talk with Andy Kamenetsky right now.
Thanks again to Dave Palet, the future host of the Lakers Postcasts on the Locked On Podcast Network. The harder they come, baby. The Lakers open their season tomorrow, and it will not be an easy opponent. Minnesota Timberwolves they're still figuring out exactly who they are after a really big trade. Karl Anthony Towns to the Knicks. They're bringing in Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo. We talked in the first hour with Jon Krawczynski, who covers the Wolves for The Athletic, and he said they all things considered, they've only had one preseason game with Julius Randle. He had been recovering from shoulder surgery that prevented him from taking part in the playoffs for the Knicks. But all things considered, they don't look bad, but they are likely still figuring some things out. And the Lakers, hopefully, even with the new things they are figuring out under J.J. Redick, still have a continuity advantage that they can work with, just like a familiarity with each other that hopefully can be leveraged against this opening night and opening slate that is not going to be easy for the Lakers. Like they're opening 10 games. There are a couple soft spots, but look, bottom line is when you're in the Western Conference, nothing is easy. This conference is just really, really hard, and there's only so many times you can play Portland. Although, fun note, when you really start looking ahead to everything big picture, the Lakers' final game of the season is the Trailblazers, who by then may be up for forfeiting just to make sure they don't jeopardize anything that could get in the way of Cooper Flagg, because I can assure by then the Blazers' season will be long past relevant. So that could be something in terms of how the final game breaks down that really matters for the Lakers. I had mentioned to Dave that I was going to bring up Dalton Knecht, and he is the guy that I'm thinking about as my X factor for this season for the Lakers. And even though he is not guaranteed a rotation spot with the roster at full strength, once Jared Vanderbilt's back, once Christian Wood is back, J.J. Redick is not going to run an 11-man rotation. He's talked about it being 9-man, but he's also said, this is not set in stone. He did not take a blood oath saying that it was going to be 9-man, but most coaches don't run more than 10 or 9.5. It's too many guys to put out there where you can catch a rhythm. So Dalton Knecht is going to open the season in the rotation. I would be stunned if he didn't. He has been part of regularly the 9-man rotation that Redick's been running, and I think he's played well on balance in the preseason. He had the one star performance, if you want to say anything can be star performance in the preseason, the 35-point night against the Suns, 20 points in a row, carried the deep reserves to a win, made some really difficult shots. I don't care who you're playing against. I don't care who's guarding you. Some of those shots were legitimately hard to make. He had defenders draped all over him. I believe he made a 3 over Bol. That is not easy to do. And I'm not joking about this. I want to make sure people know this to start this season, because I promise I'm gonna run this to death because it genuinely delights me. Dalton Knecht is actually named for Dalton, the character in Roadhouse.
The name is Dalton.
That's not a joke. He has confirmed this. His parents love the movie Roadhouse, as do I. I love the movie Roadhouse, the original.
Be nice.
Until it's time not to be nice.
That's right.
I love Roadhouse, and it delights me to no end that he is actually named for Dalton. And he looks like an NBA player. There's going to be growing pains like there are.
He also
for all
looks like
rookies.
a cooler, too.
He does look like he could be a cooler. He looked like a cooler that night against Phoenix, I'll tell you that much. But where I think it gets interesting with Knecht in terms of the rotation, what makes him an X factor is until Vando is back, or I guess Christian Wood is back, and maybe you do some lineup flipping. For the time being, with the starting lineup as D'Lo, Reeves, LeBron, AD, Rui, the reserves currently in the rotation, Max Christie, Gabe Vincent, Jackson Hayes, none of them can be counted on for scoring. I'm not saying none of them could ever have a 15, 18-point night, but you cannot count on them for scoring. For that matter, when Jared Vanderbilt is healthy, I think there are ways he can help the offense, but you can't count on scoring from Vanderbilt. Other than maybe Christian Wood, Dalton Knecht is the only guy that projects to come off the bench where he is a scorer. Like, that is his calling card. He looks like he can be an NBA 3-level scorer. And that, to me, makes him an X factor because he is potentially the only guy that can do something off the bench that this team really needs. Like last year, when they moved Rui into the starting lineup, the team became better on balance. The starting lineup became better, and the players became much happier, and that matters. But the trade-off was their scoring off the bench was non-existent. Other than maybe if Taurean Prince happened to hit 3 or 4 threes or occasionally would get to the basket, whatever, like there really was nothing, and you could feel that. Dalton Knecht offers an actual dimension off the bench of scoring. Assuming there aren't enough defensive issues where he gets attacked too much and kind of plays him off the court, he offers a real wrinkle. Like, that guy is a scorer by trade. He's not afraid of the moment at all. Like, you can see that. He is not afraid. He went up to try to dunk on Yusef Nurkic. Like, the kid's got some cojones. And frankly, if you go from JUCO all the way up to star at Tennessee, and you had to start at the JUCO because you weren't getting recruited at all, you don't get to that place without having some stones. And you don't get
Pain don't hurt.
You're a guy who believes pain don't hurt. Just like his namesake.
His motto.
His namesake is Dalton from Roadhouse Funchy.
It's bad. Badass.
I cannot tell you how excited that makes me. It's just chef's kiss. All right, coming up next, we're going to close out with a little crunch time. Funchy's going to leave it. This is Lakers Talk. Andy Kamenetsky, 710 ESPN.
Park, party, and play at Hollywood Park Casino. Join Travis Rogers and Kirk Morrison this Thursday, October 24th, for their live Rams postgame show from Ray's Lounge at Hollywood Park Casino. Win prizes and party with Travis, Kirk, and ESPN LA fans. Hollywood Park Casino is Los Angeles' premier card room casino and entertainment destination. Enjoy a postgame meal and drink at Ray's Lounge right after the game. Park, party, and play at Hollywood Park Casino. Elevate your game. Must be 21 and older.
Hey kids, Uncle Artie here from Pernia Law, here to tell you about a newer sponsorship deal with Matt Barnes, who has deep LA roots, former Bruin and pro basketball player for both LA teams.
If you're looking for the best possible results after an accident, call my guy, Uncle Artie, at Pernia Law. And there's never any upfront fees. They collect when you collect. And for the record, their win-loss record puts them in the top of the standings. That's 844-DIAL-UNC. That's 844-DIAL-UNC.
Stay up to date with the Lake Show as they tip off their season. Get Lakers emails straight to your inbox. Each send offers something different. Lakers pregame emails provide game day information along with projected starters. And Lakers weekly emails give you exclusive Lakers content only for subscribers. Never miss a minute of the action by signing up now at Lakers.com/emails. That's Lakers.com/emails. Let's go Lakers.
Hey, it's Mace. There's a lot on the line in this election, from protecting the Social Security you've earned to supporting family caregivers. And you have the power to make the candidates listen because voters 50 and over decide elections. That's why AARP California has created an election guide with the most up-to-date information about when, where, and how to vote. Get trusted election information at aarp.org/CA votes. That's aarp.org/CA votes. Paid for by AARP.
Hey guys, it's Sedano. At Los Angeles International Airport, changes are arriving daily to help reduce traffic, save travelers time, and transform the travel experience. The LAX Economy parking structure is now open with thousands of smart parking spaces, as well as hundreds of EV charging stations. Modernized terminals have biometric gates for faster boarding, and in the future, the People Mover train will connect travelers to LA Metro. For more information, go to their website, flylax.com/transforming LAX. That's flylax.com/transforming LAX.
It's crunch time on Lakers Talk.
When the clock is ticking and it's all coming down to the wire, you know what that means.
This is crunch time.
We're going to close things out with a little crunch time Lakers talk. Andy Kamenetsky, 7:10. This is where Funchy takes over. Funchy, what do you got for me?
All right, Guy. We have extension day today.
Guy?
Yeah.
Guy. All right, Guy.
Yes, right. Guy.
Hey,
We had extension
bucko.
day. Extension day today. Jalen Green signed an extension, 3-year extension, $106 million. Jalen Green, Jalen Johnson agreed to a 5-year, $150 million extension. Also, Alfie Sengun agreed to a 5-year, $185 million
Okay,
deal.
I was just about to ask, because I did not see the Şengün one. I thought that was interesting if Green got one and not Şengün.
And I would give Sengun the extension more than Green, too.
But if they both ultimately ended up getting those extensions, first of all, that gets a lot off the minds of the organization and the players. You don't have that hanging over a team that is looking to make moves. They're looking to be a bit of a
team.
spoiler,
Like a play-in team.
like a play-in team, something like that. And if you have young guys worrying about getting paid, that can get in the way. Also, I mean, maybe not for this season. Like, I would have to look at what the rules are in terms of their trade eligibility, something like that. But they eventually become guys that you could theoretically move for pieces if you feel like you either want to accelerate the path that they're on or whatever. But I think locking this stuff up, assuming you believe in them at all, this is the time to do it.
And I'm sure a lot of teams will make like a Godfather offer for Sengun because that guy is really good.
Yes, he is.
Really good. And I'm surprised that the Rockets gave Jalen Green an extension because they just got Reed Shepherd from the draft. And I've been reading like this guy is like the closest thing to Steph Curry. Like, literally. There's like whispers in Houston saying he's going to be the next Steph Curry.
I don't give formal betting advice. I just want to make this clear. But I've heard a lot of people talk about how he could be a pretty solid bet for Rookie of the Year, Reed Shepherd with the Rockets. Like, I think they were very, very happy that they were in the position to get him.
Yeah. Very, very happy about that. Which leads me to my next point. I'm going to ask you to give me your picks for Rookie of the Year, Most Improved, MVP, also the two teams that make the NBA Finals, and the champ. So starting with Rookie of the Year, who do you think is going to win Rookie of the Year?
I'm actually going to go with Reed Shepherd.
Okay,
I
that's a good
think
one.
I think it's going to be a combination for him of opportunity and a team that is going to be watched. This is very much off the top of my head, but I'm going to go with Shepherd. I actually think he could do it. What about you?
Oh, man. I think Shepherd. I've been hearing nothing but good things about him. And, like, his numbers are okay. He's going to get a lot of time off the bench or being a sixth man for the Rockets. So, yeah, it's either going to come down maybe to him or Knecht if Knecht gets the time with the Lakers.
I don't think Knecht is going to get enough opportunities to win Rookie of the Year. I think all rookie team is very possible. But, I mean, you're talking about a guy that still will be like at best, like sixth option on the Lakers. I don't think that's going to be enough for Rookie of the Year.
Most improved. Who do you think is going to be most improved?
I'm going to go with Keegan Murray on the
okay.
Kings. I feel like they are really positioning him to take a big step forward. They're going to need him as a two-way player, I think, to try to shore up some of the weaknesses that they're going to have defensively with that team. Like
especially with DeMar DeRozan.
Right. Scoring is not an issue, but they're going to need some two-way play, and there's a lot of eyes on them. So, again, this is very much off the top of my head. Funchy decided to surprise
this is what
me.
we're doing. This is what we're doing.
Right.
This is what
Crunch
we're doing.
time, you get surprised. I'm going to go Keegan Murray.
I'm going to go, I don't know if you can put this guy for most improved, but I'm going to just do it anyway. Wemby. He's going to take that next step.
That is a fascinating question, whether or not people think he is so arrived that he's already too good for most improved.
And he's getting picked ahead of Anthony Davis as a better player.
But then again, though,
according to ESPN.
I know. But then again, a guy like John Morant has won most improved player like fairly recently, and he's already considered very much on the ascend. So Wemby's an interesting question there.
Yeah, I mean, he is going to take another step. It's just that, will the people that vote for this award going to consider this step, a good step to win that award?
We know that this stuff can be very narrative driven, and the idea of him winning like most improved player, defensive player.
He's
of the
going to
year.
win that. That's why I'm not even bringing that up.
No,
it's like it's his to lose.
Assuming he stays healthy, like you can already start engraving that thing.
Yeah, right.
He is going to win defensive player of the year.
All right, MVP.
It feels to me like, because again, this is very much a narrative-driven type award. I feel like the tide is growing for Luka, assuming the Mavericks hold up their end of the bargain, and obviously Luka needs to play the requisite amount of games. But it just feels like there is a lot of sentiment growing towards Luka. The team went to the finals last year. He's been better defensively. He's obviously going to put up the numbers. And because it's a narrative-driven thing, Jokic has already won it a few times. Embiid has already won. He's not going to play enough, I think, this year to actually win it. Giannis has won a couple times. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I think, is also a front runner. The problem is I wonder if his team is so deep that he might not get the credit. Although if they win the West, it could end up Shai's to win.
I'm going to go a surprise here. I'm going to go with Kevin Durant. I think Phoenix is going to somehow get number 1 or number 2 in the West.
I don't see it, but that'll be interesting.
Yeah, but I think it could go to Kevin Durant. That's my MVP this year. And people like, the narrative, and people like a good story.
Well, I mean, him winning MVP at that age, that would absolutely be a story. I am a lot more skeptical on Phoenix than I think the general consensus. I think they're going to have a brutal time defending. So we'll see how it goes.
We're quickly 1 minute left. Your two teams for the NBA Finals and a champion.
2 teams for
NBA Finals.
I'm going to go, you know what? I'm going to go pretty chalk.
Okay.
I'm going to go Thunder, Celtics.
Wow.
And the Thunder taking out the Celtics.
Wow.
Yes.
There we go.
I think that team is good. I think they're deep. Shai is my favorite young player in the league. He's so good.
I'm gonna go shock everyone. Phoenix beats the Philadelphia 76ers.
Woo!
Yeah.
Woo!
I think Philly gets herself together. Phoenix gets herself together. It's going to be a good year, man.
First of all, you are banking on a lot of dudes staying healthy. Like there are
a
lot of question marks with your picks. This has been Lakers Talk for the evening. Tomorrow, you're going to be hearing from Beto Duran after the Lakers have their first game of the season against the Timberwolves. The whole thing is kicking off for real. Very excited. We're going to be here every week, mostly Monday nights, unless preempted. For Funchy, for the guys in the back with the YouTube, for our